You're currently in multiple relationships?
Yes.
So how many relationships are you currently involved in?
Well, all my fans are my boyfriends, and then I have people that help me do content, so I'm in relationships with them too.
All your fans are so you're selling like the girlfriend experience?
Oh yes, I connect with my fans.
How many fans do you have?
I have over 5K fans.
We need to crack down on simps. Men need to actually grow a spine because this cannot continue. I swear, in the near to not so near future, there's just going to be tons of men, tons of Gen Alpha men who don't have a shot with women. Half of women will be non-binary or something, and the rest are going to be these OnlyFans girls. This is where we're headed as a society. There's no sign that this is going to stop or slow down or that people will learn their lesson or something. This is going to continue to grow. Standards will continue to decrease until this behavior is normalized and commonplace. In fact, I have a friend who has a younger sister who recently graduated high school, and she told him that there are girls in her high school with OF accounts that the other boys in the high school will pay for. We have entered a new era of capitalism, and this is the sexual model that is being set up. There are no boundaries. This is a post-marriage culture. In the near to not so near future, men will either be in some pathetic, disgusting polycule, polypile, sharing their women with other men, or they will become trans, or they'll be part of the top 20% class of rich billionaires and chads who use all these women for their pleasure. People will tell me that I'm some sort of deranged schizo for saying these things, but really, show me the evidence that these trends are going to reverse themselves and that someone will resurrect the institution of marriage.
I have half a million.
Yeah, how do you manage 5,000? Let's change the title of the video to "She has 5,000 boyfriends."
Well, I have a good following, so I talk to the people that follow me on Instagram, as well as the people that follow me on my Spicy site. So obviously, the ones on my Spicy site get the girlfriend experience. So yeah, I feel like I have a lot of boyfriends. They take my time. I send them nudes. So
yeah, but you're siphoning money from them. You're not in actual romantic relationships with them.
I'm not siphoning money. They're willingly
having their money siphoned. But
this is incredibly predatory. You see how she's saying, "Oh, I'm not siphoning their money. They're doing this willingly." That is because you are preying on some sort of insecurity that they have. Right, men sub to OnlyFans because they think they're getting something out of it, which they're not. They should be having a regular relationship with a real flesh and blood woman, but instead they're paying for her pictures. You can't even say that this is a girlfriend experience because you don't even get actual physical access to her body as you would with a real girlfriend. If you're a man and you can't get laid and you find yourself in a situation like this where you're about to pay for some girl's OnlyFans as a substitute for those physical needs you have, you would be better off just buying it in real life. Full stop. And that behavior is bad enough as it is, don't get me wrong. But doing this is worse because you're feeding into the New World Order, you're feeding into the slave mind, you are feeding into this future where you're this worker drone who has no hope of building a family at all. You're not even paying for a real, tangible experience. You're paying for a simulacrum of that, which is even more humiliating.
Well, yeah, they're my boyfriends.
You're not in romantic relationships with them.
I am. They send me good morning messages, good night.
You get 5,000 good morning messages?
No, well, some of them on Instagram, but I'm talking about my private site. So yeah, the ones that are more invested than others, obviously, and they're on there longer than others.
What could they possibly be getting out of this that would justify them being invested?
You met any of them in person?
Oh no, they're just virtual boyfriends.
Virtual boyfriends.
I only class people that I'm into it with as boyfriends.
AKA, what do we call that? Simps, basically?
Yeah, pretty much.
Simps. So, do you have any actually in-person relationships?
I have someone that helps me with content. That's always there.
So are you?
So I have relationships.
Single?
No, I'm not single. I'm taken.
By who?
By.
You don't need to name his name, but
no.
what is your relationship status?
By the world.
by my fans. I'm in a relationship with my fans.
People will really go, oh, this show is ridiculous rage bait. It has no bearing on our culture. But this is the actual state of men and women in the West right now. Do you believe she doesn't have 5,000 fans? That there aren't other women out there who have even more fans than she does, who are more successful at getting men to pay for this stuff? And that's not a problem? People need to wake up before it's too late.
No, can you actually give me a good faith answer to the question?
I'm in a relationship.
With your fans or with like a specific individual? Are you polyamorous? Do you have multiple in-person boyfriends? What are we talking about?
I have virtual boyfriends and I have someone that
Let's
helps me with my
remove
content.
your OnlyFans, and I'm using very big air quotes here.
Okay, so if you don't count my virtual
yes, let's
boyfriends and the
remove.
person that helps me make content, then
We can count him, perhaps.
I'm single. If
But you
don't
do
wanna
it.
count my boyfriends
You
online.
So you have one person who helps you make content. So I'm assuming like
Yeah,
you're having sexual intercourse with this person.
correct.
Are you having sexual intercourse with any other person?
Imagine paying to see the girl you want to be with get screwed by someone else.
I collab with other female
Okay, so you do-
content. Yeah, female talent.
What about any male talent or?
No.
Okay, so do you have a professional relationship with this man who does content with you, but do you have a romantic relationship with him?
I care for him, yes. I've known him
Do you
since
have
high school.
do you have a romantic relationship with him?
Yeah, I guess you could say that.
I'm just gonna say you have a boyfriend here because I mean,
Yeah, we're not official. We don't have the title, but I know I can count on him.
do you you sleep with other men?
No.
For work?
No.
Does he sleep with other women?
No. Well, not that I know of. Not that I know of, so.
Ridwan Motorsports
You never
donated
know.
$100.
I'm gonna say she's got a boyfriend.
If you are really getting paid for a GF,
I consider
you are not
myself
in a
single.
relationship, you are a hooker, a harlot, and a
Oh.
drain upon society. May God have mercy on your soul.
Let me please.
And of course, her response to that super chat was just to shake her chest because she's trying to rub it in your face that there's nothing you can do about this. Women who behave this way love to rub it in men's faces because they know it's humiliating that they're acting this way, that they're putting so many men to shame and undermining the foundations of society. It's absolutely disgusting behavior, and here you see a complete refusal to take any kind of accountability for her actions.
Yeah, the girlfriend experience.
What's a GF?
I think that
Girlfriend
stands for the
experience.
girlfriend experience. So, like, does it cost money to get the girlfriend experience?
Not necessarily. I give the people that are subscribed to my VIP site the girlfriend experience, and like I message them.
What is the girlfriend experience? I don't know what that
It's
means.
like if you have a girlfriend that you talk to long distance, you could video chat, you could.
But they have
They
to
tell
pay
me-
for it. That
they
sounds
pay-
like prostitution, not a
They
girlfriend.
pay for it once they subscribe to your page. So once they subscribe to my page, they're
And here we go. Freeze frame. Let's just stop right here. This is the other problem with this podcast. I don't know how large it is, but there are simps that will watch this podcast just to find new girls they can subscribe to feed their addiction. As a total percentage of viewers, I think this is very low. I base this off of the fact that there is that simp guy and that redheaded girl who came on a while ago, and he said that they had gained I don't know how many subscribers just from how many new subscribers just from appearing on the podcast, but it wasn't very many. So of the overall viewership, it's probably very few. And in my opinion, generally speaking, I think this podcast does a good job of exposing modern women's behavior, a benefit which outweighs the cost of the fact that these women will probably get a few new subs. But if you know a man who is engaging in this behavior, you need to make him stop. This cannot stand.
able to talk to me, and I'll give them the girlfriend experience.
But is it really the girlfriend experience? It sounds more like the
It doesn't sound like a very good
prostitute experience to
Well-
some degree, right? I mean,
Well,
It is worse than the prostitute experience, Brian. They are only getting pictures, not even a real sexual experience with an actual woman.
if that's what you want to look at it like, then that could be I'm not fucking them.
Virtually, you are, right?
Virtually, I'm fucking them virtually, yeah.
she's fucking them virtually.
Yeah. So if you want to get fucked
Financially?
virtually, link in bio,
Financially,
baby.
virtually, morally.
Okay, all right.
So did you put me down as single
I have you as
or prostitute?
I have you down as in a relationship because it sounds like the guy you make content with, you're in a relationship sort of with him,
Okay.
kind of. Anyways, it's not super important, but okay, well, go ahead.
There are some more telling moments in this entire episode, so let's move on.
Do you guys want an average woman? Or oh my God, what am I saying?
Yeah. Fuck yeah.
Well, they might go that way. Do you guys want an average man?
Average. Define average.
An average man. Do you want an average
Average
man?
looking.
Sure. Average looking, just average. Average.
Do I want an average man? I would probably prefer someone
Well,
that's
I
not
suppose-
so average.
Yeah.
So despite this woman's disgusting behavior, she believes she's worthy of an above average man. It's complete insanity.
Yes, I would like
Yeah.
a 10 out of 10 woman who's a billionaire, sure, but whether I can get it or not, that's another question. Do you recognize that you may very well end up with an average man or have to?
I wouldn't say
I would-
have to.
Well, you don't
You know,
have to, but
you love who you love. That's what it comes down to at the end of the day. If he's average,
Love is love.
I mean, you think he's average maybe to the other person, but to me, I think he might be the hottest guy in the world.
Women love to pretend that the scale doesn't exist, that human lives don't have price tags on them, that it's all arbitrary because anyone can like anything. This is complete nonsense. They do this to pretend that social hierarchy doesn't exist because it benefits them, because their actions and choices are awful. But it doesn't benefit men. It's just an obvious lie.
That doesn't mean everybody else is going to think that.
okay.
So it's like, am I settling? No, because I love him. I think he's gorgeous.
Love is blind. So an average man could be everything to someone that's in love.
Okay. But there's just sort of the statistical
reality of it.
If we assume that
If your man is a loser who pays for other girls' OnlyFans, would you still want him? I wonder how these women would answer that question.
most people are average or fall within the average, then isn't it fair to say that they ought to partner up with somebody who is also average?
No, not necessarily.
Well, this kind of, interestingly enough, goes back to the conversation about a guy with a high body count desiring a woman with a low body count. What I see is a lot of average women don't want average men.
The reality of the situation is that social media and dating apps have totally inflated modern Western women's sense of their own value. And they have ideologies like feminism reinforcing this idea that if a man has an issue with how many guys a woman has slept with, it's just because there's something wrong with him. It's not because a woman has actually lowered her intrinsic value by making her sexuality less exclusive.
So again, a lot of women desire traits in partners that they themselves possess. You have average women who are chasing after men who are, quite frankly, out of their league.
Recall the curious differences, the disparities, in that recent study that measured men that say they're in relationships and women that say they're in relationships. Some people suggested that these disparities were in part because some women are prone to lying on these studies, lying in their answers and responses. And I think that's certainly a possibility for some women, but I don't think that it accounts for the whole disparity. I think there are some women out there who think they're in relationships with Chad who are not actually in relationships with Chad.
And so my pushback on the whole self-assessment of being a 10 thing really just boils down to what I see as a major issue going on in the dating marketplace. Average women don't want average men. Average women think they're above average or a 10. Thus, you have average women that are going to be chasing after exceptional or above average men. You have average women who are going to reject men who are commensurate to them in terms of their appearance or their social standing or social status. So you're going to reject the men who are actually on your level. You're going to, if you happen to find yourself down the road in a relationship with this sort of man, after you've perhaps attempted to chase after men who are outside of your league, you're going to ultimately end up having contempt for the men that you end up settling with.
This is a truth that men intuitively know and understand, but then women lie to themselves, because again, men and women's sexualities are different, have different pressures placed on them. Men know it's not some woman, unless they're blue pill and they've just deceived themselves because they'd rather live the lie. Men know she isn't happy that she's with you now. You're like her 5th, 6th, 7th, or 8th choice. Sometimes it's in the double or even, worst case scenario, triple digits, and she is settling. That is how much of herself she has already given away prior to meeting you. And it does not work the same way with men. If some woman shows up and offers you free, no strings attached sex, and she's not a complete bridge troll, unless there's an indication that it's some kind of trap, you will have the urge to say yes. This is because a man's sexuality only matters if he has a high social standing.
You're probably not going to be satisfied in the relationship because you're going to be pining for this exceptionally attractive guy who perhaps you got his divided attention. A lot of women get caught up in these situationships, friends with benefits, fuck buddies, one night stand situations, fuck boys, whatever it may be. And, but you'd almost prefer having the divided attention of a hyper attractive man, because you can get his sexual attention. You're not going to get his romantic attention. You're not going to get his marriage attention. You're not going to get his relationship and commitment attention, because there's a differential here. So
these women think they can get any man's commitment because they believe they're all 10s. They've been convinced, they have brainwashed themselves that they're all Miss America. Just watch.
As a man, if I can sleep with a girl, there's a pretty high likelihood that I can get her in a relationship. But you can't say the same in the reverse. Like, if you can sleep with a guy, that doesn't mean you can necessarily get him into a relationship. So this is where women get into trouble, because
when you have the WAP, you could definitely get him into a relationship.
Is that what you think gets you into a relationship?
Not necessarily, but that's
your pussy.
They are all convinced that they have this. I'm not even kidding you. Like, half of these women out here think they're some sort of magical, irresistible sex goddess.
That's really...
What? I've never heard
You
that.
need to bring a lot more to the table than sex to
and I
get
do.
them in.
Yeah.
Right, but you just cited your wet ass.
I thought it's
No,
wet.
yeah.
I thought
you
it's
get
wet.
into
If you
a-
have, I could get a man into a relationship if I try.
You think so?
Yeah.
Any man?
No, I'm not saying any man, but if I really want to, I feel like I could. The majority.
You think so? Okay. I mean, it's a bit of a delusional take. So you think that of the men that would sleep with you, you could get them all into, most of them or all of them, into relationships?
Majority.
She's managed to get 5,000 so far, so...
Now, hard and fast figures are hard to come by in terms of what men qualify as simps. It's kind of a malleable, non-specific word, so a sort of a you know one when you see one type of situation, but this is what simps contribute to: hoflation. This woman thinking she is way more important and attractive and valuable than she actually is. Women need a reality check. What we have seen entering the 21st century is that women create these artificial scarcities in order to artificially inflate their value, their sexual market value, in order to get access to Chad. Very short-sightedly. They are not thinking of long-term consequences. They are not actually considering where they sit on the social totem pole. And they are totally deluded about their role in society and relationships, and what men even want in partners in the first place.
I'd like to think so.
Anyways, it just occurs to me that, like,
I got Madison's number, didn't I?
well, here's a complaint that I hear from a lot of women. They're struggling to get commitment. They're in situationships. They get cheated on. And it does occur to me that perhaps, not all the time, but perhaps are these women, and I don't think women are fully beholden to their hypergamous nature, but are they chasing after men who are, quite frankly, out of their league?
Yes, they are. And then these men pump and dump them, and they become bitter.
Me personally, I don't chase after men.
Okay. you don't pursue men? I
No.
mean,
Never had to.
They pursue her.
Yeah, because she's already being pounded out by some guy she's doing her OnlyFans business with.
okay. Well, you're currently in a relationship, sort of. I mean, you were kind of vague about your relationship status, but
But what? Yeah, I don't pursue men. Men pursue me. Would I if I had to? Yes. And I think
look, I'm not,
I think I've had enough experience to know who to go after, and when I see a fuckboy, I could tell, and I wouldn't be going after the fuckboy.
She said she's had experience, so if she denies pursuing Chads now, then we know she's pursued them in the past.
here's a big difference, right? So, okay, as a man, if a man can have sex with a woman of a certain physical attractiveness level that he would, I'm not saying all men do this, right? But there's enough out there where it can certainly present a problem in the dating marketplace. So a man will sleep with a woman, maybe even keep her around for casual sex, might even keep her around as a friends with benefits. But just based off of her looks, she will never get commitment. But that almost rarely happens the other way. And so what ends up happening, women can sleep outside of their league. As a guy, I can't sleep with women out of my league, like for casual sex. Like I can't, like if I'm gonna just go for casual sex and I'm not inclined to do it, like I'm going down, I'm looking down, right?
Modern women are allergic to accountability, and that also involves being allergic to recognizing the reality of social hierarchy and how men operate within this social hierarchy.
Now, the girl I want to be in a relationship with, I want parity there. I want her to be on my level looks-wise, right? But like for a casual sexual encounter,
Nickelodeon donated
Thank you, man.
$100. If it's so easy, call up Ombre and make it official. She said it out loud. She gets everything a girlfriend needs from a man without the relationship. Probably hitting dudes on the side. Sad.
is it true?
I'm hitting dudes on the side.
I don't know. I'm asking if it's true.
I'm not hitting dudes on the side. I make most of my content is girl content.
Sure. Now, here's the difference. So thank you, Nickelodeon. For a woman to, I'm trying to think the best way to articulate this. It's sort of like a little complex thought, but for a woman to have sex with a guy, typically, he needs to be at least physically attractive enough for her to see herself being in a relationship with him. But the same can't be said for men.
Modern women need this explained to them because they do not understand how men work. At best, some of them will be sympathetic to what men are going through. Again, I think this is actually very few of them. But the overwhelming majority will neither understand nor care what the plight of your average man is. And this is why men need to help each other become strong, because women are incapable of fixing the situation that society is currently in.
Exactly. They go after the easy ones.
Right. But when a woman goes for casual sex, she's gonna like, okay, well, if I'm gonna have casual sex, it's gonna be with a really hot dude. Whereas it's the reverse with men.
I want the women at the table to rate themselves in comparison to the lady in the first seat with denim.
Okay.
And if above, why? Feminine, cute, and realistic self-rating. We need more of it in society.
Well, I mean, all the women have already rated their looks. I'm not sure.
That's quite strange.
They did already. I don't know if you saw were here when they already did the 1 to 10. I don't know.
Brian's chafing under the pressure. Let them rank themselves against each other. It will be very telling about female nature. Don't let them just be nice and lie about it. They all know what's up. They're trying to deceive men by perpetuating these lies and pretending there's no scale that people fall onto.
I mean, if you guys want, you can. In
You
comparison to,
completely
I don't wanna
underrated
compare
yourself.
myself.
They're just
When you
saying
said-
that Lillian is the hottest one.
I guess they're saying
available,
Lily's
is what they're
the-
saying.
I don't know if
And
you look
I
at her
think
Twitter,
you
you might.
underrated yourself, Lillian. You're very beautiful.
Thank you. But I don't think that's true. But
So, where was I? I guess what I'm trying to say is that if you, and why I think it's important for women to have a realistic self-assessment of their own physical attractiveness in the dating marketplace, is if you've gassed yourself up to the point where you think you're perhaps more attractive than you actually are, you're perhaps going to chase men who you think are on your level, but actually are out in actuality, in reality, objectively are out of your league. They'll never give you commitment. You're going to spend your 20s jumping from next exciting guy to next exciting guy, next hot guy, next fuck boy.
Modern women have also totally conflated sex and commitment. Just because they can have sex with a man does not mean they can actually get a man to put a ring on their finger. And this is what Brian is trying to drive home.
You're going to start getting baggage and trauma and all this stuff, and then you're going to wait to settle down in your 30s, and you're going to settle down. You're going to view like you're settling down for a guy who's actually on your level, who there's parity with. It's probably that's a catastrophic recipe, likely for divorce.
Women have been taught by feminists to deny that there is any psychological impact that comes with women sleeping with tons of men.
Because you're going to view your partner with contempt. Oh, why couldn't I get one of the hot dudes in my youth, when I was younger, to commit to me? He's not as good in bed. He's not as hot. He's not as sexy. And that's what's going on. Not all women, of course, but a lot of women spending their 20s just casual sex.
Yeah, I agree. I feel like a lot of women that are dating men these days are not doing it in a smart way. You have to pick your men. You got to pick the men you sleep with. Because like he said, most of the men that you sleep with are not going to commit to you. And they won't even take you on dates. They don't see you procreating with them.
But notice she will still not tell women to quote-unquote settle, which is what women need to actually do, to actually recognize their real and true value, undistorted by social media, to men.
Yep.
Yeah, but here's the problem. The guy who is prepared to commit to you, he might not be as attractive. He might not be as attractive as the guys who.
I love the dad bod. I don't want a man with a six pack. I don't look for looks.
But the differential here is that as a guy, if I'm like trying to hit up a girl who's out of my league, men get rejected on the front end. Women will get rejected on the back end. You might get rejected like months down into a situationship when this guy had no intention of committing to you. And I think, frankly, that's a scummy way for men to move. But let's be realistic. There are men who are going to move like that. And the reality is, women are choosing a lot of these men. If you look on dating apps, for example, women swipe on only like the top 5, top 10% of men. So it just sets women up to be in the situation where, while for their short-term strategy to pursue these like hyper attractive men, they might be able to get sex with them. So that's kind of where I'm going with, like, well, as a guy, I can't shoot out of my league and like I can't get anything from a girl who's out of my league. I can't get casual sex. I can't get a relationship. I can't get nothing. So I get the instantaneous rejection. Whereas like women, you can secure sex from like men who are like way out of your league. You guys might even have dudes who are in your DMs, like athletes, musicians, rappers.
But
they're not going to give you commitment though. But we've had 19-year-old girls who've been on the show who got 500 followers who go to UCSB, and they get NBA players in their DMs. Like, these girls are nobodies. And I'm not saying that to insult them, but they have no status. They're just normal college girl. They got NBA players, NFL players, professional athletes in their DMs, and then the average 19-year-old guy is gonna. How's she gonna, like, comparatively speaking, it's like once you've had a certain tier, once you've had like a certain attention from a certain caliber of man.
And how would the 19-year-old feel if he knows that his girlfriend has been screwed by some NBA player before she gets to him? You intuitively know as a man that she is settling. She wants a relationship, but she knew she couldn't keep that high-value guy, so she's just going for you. How does it feel to be second place? Women do not know or care. How does it feel to have a nice silver, or better yet, bronze trophy instead of a gold one? These modern women do not understand and can't relate. This realization only hits as soon as they hit the wall.
It's like very hard to like, when you start making a lot of money, you have something called lifestyle creep. So if you
You
start,
couldn't
if,
go back.
if you're making $100,000 a month, some people still try to keep it simple, but like you're going to start having lifestyle creep. And then if you lose all that, like if your financial circumstances change, you're going to have a bit of a shock, like having to go back. Okay, shit, I got roommates again now. If your circumstances ever do change. Same thing, like, have you ever, like, you used to be in uni and you used to go, like, to the dude's dorm room and he had 3 roommates, like 3 dudes in his room, and then you all of a sudden, you date a guy with his own house. It's like, it's kind of like hard to, like,
Hard to go back.
To once you've dated somebody who's got, like, their shit together, So in the same way that people have lifestyle creep once they start making a lot of money.
Is anyone else noticing how big the woman in the red shirt, how big her arm is, the one with the sleeve of tattoos all over her arm? Is anyone else noticing how large her arm is? Like, these aren't even, like, actually attractive women. This is how low the bar is to be an OF girl. You need to have big boobs, and that's it. Very sad.
Once you start dating a certain caliber of man, you start like having dating creep, as I'd like to call it. And it's like hard to like date the normal average guy once you've had a taste of like a certain tier of man. But that tier of man is open to like a much wider margin of women.
That's true.
Right? You have
Literally facts. You just blew my mind.
Let's go. Okay. All right. But like for
This mind-blowing revelation for this woman will not lead to any lasting lifestyle changes. I can assure you of that.
But you have like, famous guys in your DMs and like, the.
Anything? What's like the most? Like,
Actually, Natalie has
famous
a couple, right?
I really.
I don't want to dox anyone.
Well, yeah, but you said in your pre-show notes you
Yeah.
did say something about. Hold on, I'm going to pull it up.
But I actually don't get a lot of DMs. I will say that.
Okay.
Like, I don't.
Go on.
Well, I think I alienate half
Well,
of the country given my line of work to start. But
Well, you said you've dated
Don't
pro
worry.
athletes and politicians and stuff, and
yeah, wouldn't recommend.
Do you, wait, so you think with your job, a lot of men are like turned off from it?
No, not my job. Just I think if you don't have the same political beliefs that I do, you probably wouldn't date Steve Bannon's co-host.
And there you have it. Even so-called conservative women have been ran through.
Okay.
Yeah.
Is it so?
is that a
Okay.
big issue? Like, I feel like
Yeah.
guys don't want like liberal feminist chicks.
Yeah.
I mean,
no,
unless
it's not
it's
a
just
super
like,
issue.
they might want them for like, because they're on birth control and like for casual sex or whatever. But
Yeah, I
like,
definitely don't. I don't know. For me, it's not just the critique of like, oh, I'm a Republican, so I want to date a Republican. Like, I would not do well with some like cringe person who just loves tax cuts. Like, I'm very
Right.
anti-globalist, anti-rhino. Like, they need to. I'm not even saying they have to necessarily be political. Honestly, I've kind of
I was
learned
gonna
that
say,
I don't
it's not
like
like you're always
dating.
gonna be
I don't like actually
yapping on
dating
about
people
it.
in politics, or frankly, even talking about it in my like actual life. But it's just nice to have some level, I think, of overlap in terms of just like when I say rhino, people aren't like
You're
mean
like
the animal?
morals and beliefs. Yeah.
And this is some of you men's wet dream. Break out of the fantasy. Rise above. Money max. That's really what we as men can do right now to get ourselves out of this situation, is money max and hopefully become financially independent. So we are not slaves in the coming new world order. Anyway, that's it for this video. I hope you enjoyed it. Please share it if you did. That is the #1 way you can support this channel, is sharing this video. Please. If you liked it, share it. Anyway, that's it for this video, and Red Channels will catch you in the next one.